Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a lovely week so far. I've got a new story for us today, and this is another growing story. Can you remember our growing stories from last week? We had Jack and the Beanstalk, and we had Jasper's beanstalk, didn't we? Where they planted some beans that grew into super tall beanstalks. Today, our growing story is about a vegetable, because vegetables sometimes grow in the ground. So, can you think of a vegetable that might grow in the ground? I'll give you a little clue. One of them is orange and rabbits like to eat it. Can you think what it might be? Carrots, that's right. Carrots grow in the ground, and so do potatoes and radishes. And this story is all about something called a turnip. And a turnip is a kind of vegetable that grows in the ground. And then you can eat it when it's fully grown. You have to pull it out of the ground and cook it, and then you can have it with your dinner, or you can have turnip soup. And this story is called The Enormous Turnip. Do you know what enormous means? It means really big. This is a story about a turnip that kept on growing until it was enormous. Shall we see what happens in this story? So, one sunny morning, a man decided to plant some turnip seeds in his garden. He planted the turnip seeds all in a row. And look, he's put a little sign there to remind himself that that's where he put the turnip seeds. And can you see these birds? They're having a little nibble on those turnip seeds, aren't they? The man took great care of his seeds. He watered them every day. There's his watering can, look. And can you see? The little seeds began to grow. They grew very quickly, but one turnip seed grew much quicker than the rest. Look at that one. Can you see how big it is? That's the turnip there, and these are the leaves. They're nearly as big as the old man's house. He's going to really struggle to pull that out of the ground, isn't he? We can have it for our dinner, he said to his wife. So he took hold of the huge leaves and he pulled, but it wouldn't come out. So he pulled and he pulled with all his might, but he couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. The man called to his wife to help him pull up the turnip. There he is, look, can you see? Come and help me. So the man pulled the turnip and the woman pulled the man, and they pulled with all their might, but they couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. The woman called to a boy, and the man pulled the turnip, the woman pulled the man, and the boy pulled the woman, and they pulled with all their might, but they still couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. The boy called a girl, and the girl pulled the boy pulled the woman pulled the man, and the man pulled the turnip, and they pulled with all their might, but they still couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. The girl asked her dog to help. So the man pulled the turnip, the woman pulled the man, the boy pulled the woman, the girl pulled the boy, and the dog pulled the girl. And they pulled with all their might, but they still couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. The dog saw a large orange cat and asked her to help. So the cat pulled the dog pulled the girl pulled the boy pulled the woman pulled the man, and the man pulled the turnip. And they pulled with all their might, but they still couldn't pull up the enormous turnip. So the cat asked a mouse to come and help. And the mouse pulled the cat pulled the dog pulled the girl pulled the boy pulled the woman pulled the man pulled hold the turnip, and suddenly the turnip came flying out of the ground. The cat fell on top of the little mouse, and the dog fell on top of the cat, and the girl fell on top of the dog, and the boy fell on top of the girl, and the man fell on top of the woman. What do you think fell on top of the man? The most enormous turnip anyone had ever seen. Then the man said, "You must all stay and have dinner with us." So they did, and the turnip was delicious. My goodness, I think they're going to be eating that turnip for a very long time, don't you? Look at them having turnip soup for their dinner. Delicious. Okay, that's the end of our story today. I hope you enjoyed that story. We're going to do some activities now all about that story. If you need to listen to it again, you can. I'll leave it on the website for you. And I hope you all have lots of fun doing all of those activities today. I will see you later. Bye.